I noticed the stain the day I moved in. A damp, yellowish blotch, spreading across the ceiling in the hallway. The old farmhouse smelled of dust and stale wood. It was clearly the kind of place that had history soaked into its bones. At first, I didn't think much of it. Houses settle. Leaks happen. I had gotten this place at a steal. It was my second house, the first one since my divorce. The first one where I would be living solo. 2 floors, 1 basement, and a big L-shaped kitchen that I was dying to use. Of course, first I had to get everything unpacked, put away. Remember which drawer held the butter knives, and which one held all of the junk I didn't know what to do with. Basically, I should have been thinking about literally anything but the stain. Problem was, every time I walked into the room, my gaze was drawn up to that awful blotch. By the 3rd day, the stain had doubled in size. It wasn't just discoloration anymore. The edges darkened, turning the color of rotting fruit, and a faint, sour smell clung to the air beneath it. I ran my hand along the ceiling, feeling for moisture, but it was dry. I set a bucket underneath just in case. This figures. Okay, so time to start saving for repairs, I grumbled, unhappy with needing to do this so soon into my ownership of the place. Still, the spreading stain was quickly forgotten. The sound that woke me up that night? Not so easy to ignore. A soft, rhythmic tapping, like fingers drumming against wood. I held my breath, ears straining. Maybe it was just a tree branch against the roof? No. The sound came from inside the ceiling. Slowly, I rose to my feet, drifting through the house. I flicked the lights on as I went, and soon found myself standing beneath the stain. What the? The sound was definitely coming from within the soured, putrid-looking mark. Once more, the step stool was collected and I pressed my hand against it. The thumping audibly continued, but I couldn't feel anything. I rapped hard on the mark, hoping that whatever creature was on the other side would be scared off. It didn't work. The sound went on for hours, slow and deliberate. I barely slept. By morning, the bucket was no longer empty. A thick, dark substance had dripped down. Not water, something viscous, like oil or blood. It reeked of copper and rot. My stomach turned as I dumped it outside. The stain had spread again, creeping toward my bedroom. I called a contractor. He told me it was just an old house settling, probably some bad pipes. He'd come by next week. I didn't like the thought of waiting that long, but what was I gonna do, right? It's not like I could fix it myself. The stain was too large to be contained just by a bucket. I bought a tarp for $5 and laid it down instead, hoping that it would help save the flooring. That night, I woke to scratching. A slow, deliberate scrape, like nails dragging against wood. It came from above me. My stomach curdled at the sound, heart skipping a beat. I flicked on the bedside lamp. A new stain had appeared, right over my bed. I bolted upright, heart hammering. The tarp in the hallway was puddled with that black sludge. My hands trembled as I reached for my phone. I'd call a plumber, a priest, the cops even. Someone had to come out. That was the end of it. I hadn't even unlocked my cell phone before muffled voices began hissing through the cracks in the ceiling. I couldn't make out the words, but they were there. Urgent, angry. I backed out of my room, my left foot coming down on the tarp. The liquid splashed across the floor, thick and sticky, and something in the ceiling above me moved. I ran. It kept pace with me, scurrying through the ceiling above as I raced for the front door. As soon as I got outside, I ripped off my sock and threw it into the grass, desperate to get that foul sludge off of me. I slept in my truck. When dawn came, I forced myself to go back inside. The stain had spread down the walls now, tendrils of black snaking through the floorboards. The ceiling above my bed had buckled inward, like something had been pressing against it from the other side. Whatever was pressing against the ceiling was still moving, a slow, deliberate swell of the bulging plaster. My breath hitched as a single, wet crack splintered through the wood. Then another. Then the whole thing ruptured. A gaping, blackened hole burst open, spewing a shower of rotted wood and that sickening, putrid sludge. And something else. Something pale, slick, and wrong tumbled free. Limbs too long, fingers too many. Its head lolling like a broken marionette as it heaved itself upright. It turned toward me. I didn't want to see its face. My legs finally caught up with my brain, and I bolted, slipping on the mess but catching myself just in time. The thing moved with me, its spindly limbs clawing against the floor, a wet, slapping sound accompanying every jerky movement. I reached the front door just as I heard it speak. Not words, just a sound. A rattling inhale, then a breathless, choked out giggle. I slammed the door behind me and threw myself into the truck, fingers fumbling at the ignition. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped the keys. But then, blessedly, the engine roared to life. In the rearview mirror, I saw the farmhouse. The thing standing just inside the doorway. It didn't follow me outside. Didn't have the chance to, really, because I floored it down the dirt road, kicking up gravel. I didn't stop driving until I reached a motel 2 towns over. I paid in cash. Right now, I've got every door locked. I've got all of the lights on. I've checked too, just to make sure there aren't any stains in this room. I can't move again. Don't have the money for it. But I don't want to go back either. What if it's still waiting for me?